Hello and welcome to Assistive Technology Week. We are excited to welcome members of the ALS community from the Mid-Atlantic Territory and beyond. My name is Kate Karlovitz, and I am Assistive Technology Specialist with the ALS Association in Western Pennsylvania. Today, we have a presentation from Corrie, Libby, and Liz Stanley titled Creative Pursuits, a program improving the quality of life for people living with ALS and their caregivers. For our live audience, please feel free to enter questions using the Q&A feature on Zoom. There will be time at the end for the presenter to answer your questions. This webinar will also be recorded, as well as previous webinars and the webinars that will be upcoming this week. I now have the honor of introducing Corrie, Libby, and Liz Stanley. Corrie Libby is the Director of Care Services for Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. Corrie has worked at the ALS Association for a little over 3 years, starting as a care services manager and transitioning to Director of Care Services 2 years ago. In this role, she has had the honor of assisting in the development and launch of care services programs such as Creative Pursuits. She is the ALS Clinic Liaison at M Health Fairview in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Prior to joining the ALS Association, she worked as a home care and hospice occupational therapist for 15 years. Liz Stanley has worked with the ALS Association as the Arts Program Manager since April of 2023. She has a background in art education and taught art from preschool age to adults in every medium over 16 years. Liz recently moved back to the States after 7 years teaching abroad in Turkey, Cambodia, and Costa Rica. Liz lost her best friend, who was an amazing artist, to ALS, which inspired them to bring their passion for the therapeutic power of creation to people living with ALS. Thank you so much for joining us, Corrie and Liz.
Good morning. Thank you guys so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we are honored today here. Liz is going to bring up the slides, but we're just honored to come present the Creative Pursuits program to you, which, as we mentioned, was developed about 1.5 years ago. And as Kate said, Liz is the Art Program Manager and I am the Care Services Director, and we both are coming to you from the great state of Minnesota today. Next slide, Liz. So the Creative Pursuits program was the vision of Ken Baltus. Ken Baltus was a gentleman living with ALS here in the Twin Cities. He worked as many different roles, computer science, those types of things, but he also had rheumatoid arthritis and was very involved in the Arthritis Association prior to being diagnosed with ALS. When he was diagnosed with ALS in his retirement, he had always been an artist, but decided to really start his artwork again. So you can see some examples of his work. He used a lot of his mathematical skills and equations to kind of help with his artwork. And if you see, Liz has included a QR code for his website, but you can see how his art progressed once he was diagnosed with ALS. So he was right-handed, eventually had to switch to painting and artwork with his left hand, and then eventually did some artwork with his eye gaze device. So Ken came to the association probably about 2 years ago and just said, this is really a vision of mine, that I want to make sure that people have other things to focus on rather than just the diagnosis of ALS, and just really have a sense of purpose. So we were able to work with him to develop this program kind of from the ground up, present that to our leadership board and get that approved. So the basis for this, Liz, if I can have you go to the next slide. The basis for this that we kind of used as a guideline in this was the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We found as an association that we were really focused on the physiological and safety of individuals. We were touching a little bit into, love and belonging with some of the support groups that we're able to offer, some of the events and different activities. But what Ken and I really wanted to make sure that we were doing was that we were really focusing on those higher levels of the needs of the individual, including esteem and self-actualization. So you can kind of see that we're just giving them confidence, having them feel some achievement, and then also just really tapping into their creativity and just giving them a sense of purpose every day. So next slide, Liz. So the goals of the program were to allow individuals living with ALS and their caregivers to allow them self-expression, self-confidence, help ease their anxiety of the disease, also just enhancing social interactions and peer support. So we have a lot of support groups within the organization, but we thought this is just a different focus. It seems to be a little bit more acceptable for some people, that they can come in and be involved creating something and interacting with others versus just focusing on the disease again. And again, just kind of giving them a diversion from those challenges, their everyday challenges that they have started to experience with the diagnosis. And then we also wanted to make sure that we were providing the adaptive tools and techniques to make sure that we were able to accommodate everybody that wanted to participate in this program. And next slide. So we have been just compiling some data and statements from people just to make sure that we're meeting those goals. I'm not going to read through each of these quotes, but really you can see the impact that it has made. We have individuals that wanted to be writers their whole lives, but life got in the way as far as careers and family and whatnot. So I really like that middle quote. Mark has been very involved with a lot of our classes. And he just kind of made a comment that, you know, he wanted to always be a writer. He wasn't able to do that. And actually being diagnosed with ALS has brought that dream to fruition for him. So that's pretty exciting. Next slide.
Yeah, so some of the opportunities that we provide with Creative Pursuits are, well, it's kind of a wide range. I wanted to offer a wide variety to try to meet everybody's interests, because everyone has different interests. So I wanted everyone to be able to find something that they could sign up for. So poetry, fiction, and nonfiction writing classes are offered by the Loft Literary Center teachers. Music composition and concerts are offered by McPhail and Equay. Visual arts, we have kind of a wide range of visual arts offerings right now, offered by various teachers, including Arts for All. And I offer some digital classes as well. And then comedy classes. So really, you can see this image on the screen is actually a screenshot of one of the comedy classes where folks just get together and tell jokes and just have some laughs together. And then online museum tours, as well as guided nature immersions. We have some audio guides that people anywhere can use. Hands-free and nonverbal focus options. And social clubs focus on writing, visual arts, and books. So yeah, I'm going to move on to the next one, Corrie.
So, of course, the focus of why we're here today is assistive technology. And we recognized, as I stated earlier, that we needed to really tap into the resources that the association had to make this program be successful. So I think the thing that a lot of us think about when we think of assistive technology would be the higher level of technology, you know, such as computers, iPads, those types of things, which we definitely use. However, there are a lot of low tech options too. So, and just like, you know, you'll kind of see the pay range or the price range vary greatly through these two. And we have found that a lot of our participants really are on the scale of what they need. So we have a lot of low tech options all the way up to communication devices and stuff to make the program successful for them. We do rely on our community partners, whether that be ALS clinic or some of our internal staff with experience, such as our AT professionals, our occupational therapists, our speech therapists, social workers that have some experience with group settings. So we've really kind of tapped into everybody just to make sure that we're assessing what could make this individual successful in the program so that they don't feel intimidated. So we'll go through some of those. We're gonna switch to the next slide. This is just kind of an example. There are a lot of things that can be done. Liz has gotten very creative. As we mentioned earlier, I'm an occupational therapist. So a lot of times Liz and I are kind of problem solving. How can things work? We have actually been in the office just cutting up sponges and trying to make paintbrushes for people and whatnot. But a lot of these items are things that we have had in our equipment loan program. So the built-up foam, as you can see, that can be cut to different lengths to accommodate paintbrushes. The easy grip tools next to that, those are a variety of sizes that can be just kind of slipped over so that you have a handle on a paintbrush or a pencil or anything that the participant would need. And again, just kind of over on the right is another example of some grip tools. We just have a wide variety. Liz has been very resourceful in finding different brushes and art supplies that can make it easier for people to participate. But probably one of her greatest accomplishments is the headband holder in the middle there. And that is just allowing somebody to paint utilizing their head, and we'll be able to show you an example of that later. So next slide. Yep. Again, just some examples of some things that we have had in our equipment loan program that can be really helpful if people are not familiar. Dicem up on the left side there is just a very sticky material that can be used in a variety of ways. So that can just be used to hold things in place so that if somebody is having weakness on one side, it just helps hold the item in place so that they could paint utilizing the other side and not have to worry about kind of making sure that that item is held down while they're doing that. The mobile arm supports, we have a variety of different ones. Again, you'll see an example later of how somebody is utilizing that for this program. But just, again, just to kind of help with some of that shoulder movement, arm fatigue, and still allow them to participate. We utilize the bedside tables. We have a variety of different kinds in our loan pool. And that just, again, allows people to kind of work from wherever they're at, whether that be the bed, the chair, or maybe it's just a little bit easier for them to sit up at that versus the table. And then we have a variety of lap desks that individuals will use too. And then you can kind of see some additional styluses or different typing aids. Again, these are all things that we have had in our communication or assistive tech loan program. So again, we'll just kind of assess. We sometimes will send out a couple of different types for people to try to see which one is most successful for them. And we just let them know too, if one doesn't work, that's okay. We have a lot of different options. We're going to keep working with you to problem solve this and make sure that you're successful and we can make sure that you can participate. And we just ask if they're not using it, that they return it to us so that we can keep paying that forward, because what doesn't work for one person may work really well for another. So next slide.
Okay, so this is another example of a low-tech option. I actually got this idea from Art Abilities, an organization in Rochester, Minnesota. And so I didn't come up with this on my own, but we're working with it. This is kind of our prototype, and we're just still playing around with the different variations of this tool. So I'm going to play the video so you can see it in action. And so the idea is to be able to engage someone who's in a power wheelchair and really too fatigued or unable to grip a paintbrush, and just a really fun way to create art and kind of, have that creativity and just like, it's kind of like a game in a way. And so you can see our participant was having a great time. Lots of laughing and fun happening. So here's the piece that he created using that device. Another device that this participant actually has coined the hummingbird, because she says it felt like she was a hummingbird when she used it. So I'm going to play this video. This is actually an idea that came from an artist named Anastasia Wilson. She has a website and kind of calls herself Headstrong Art. She uses a similar device that her father created using wood and different kind of helmet material, but it's the same concept. And so I wanted to recreate that so that we could make it more user-friendly and be able to share it with multiple folks. And so we have a few of these on hand that we can loan out to folks who want to use them. We did find that she was getting a little bit more fatigued having to bend over so much. So we adjusted, and as you can see, we added an easel so that she could paint at a more upright angle, and just found this to be less fatiguing. So you can see this is just about her finished piece here. And here's the arm thing, which is our arm thingy, right? I may have titled that a little wrong, but that's just another one of those supports or armrests that we can see a participant using to help just take off some of that weight of having to hold your arm up. So it allows you to create for longer periods of time. Another device that we are working on is for this individual who paints with her feet. So she actually holds a paintbrush in between her toes. And, she's been an artist for her entire life and just could not give it up. She tried various means, holding a paintbrush between her teeth, but that gave her incredible headaches because of the tension of having to grip the paintbrush. And so she decided to start trying with her toes. It was actually her son's idea to give it a try. And so she asked for a little bit of help with this. As you can see, she has a really nice setup here where she has the brushes easy to grab by using an egg carton. She uses some various tools like the one on the previous page, where it's the kind of teardrop shaped or bulb shaped brush. And she found that that kind of is easier to hold on to. And this is one of her amazing pieces of art that she has created using her feet to paint. So one thing that I'm working on with a fellow named William James at the University of Missouri's Occupational Therapy Department and his team of engineers and occupational therapists who've been working on designing this foot gantry. So you can see this will be sent to the participant on the previous screen to give her that relief, because she says that it's very fatiguing having to lift her foot up off the ground. So we're hoping that this will help alleviate that fatigue and will keep her painting even longer hours than she already does. Okay.
Great. Yeah, and then so those are examples of our low technology options, and you can see the amazing work that everybody has done with that. So that's been really fun to watch. But we also, again, in our assistive technology and communication loan program, have a variety of items that we can loan out to people. Again, was always already a resource at our fingertips that we were using for other reasons. But when Liz started and was kind of like, what are my options? We were able to jump in and get her some examples so that she could play and try out some different things. So not sure if throughout the rest of the US, I was just telling Liz, the Toby and the TD Pilot are very common here in the Midwest as a communication device option, but they are just options on the eye gaze spectrum that people can utilize. So again, different apps and things that can be downloaded that Liz will be talking about further. Again, same thing with the iPad, can be used for a variety of things. The smart home, I wanted to put in there just because a recent add to the program was a book club. And a lot of times people think the smart home is going to be for environmental controls, which is obviously a great option for, but they forget about all the leisure activities that can be done with the smart home, such as, you know, listening to music, listening to an audio book, those types of things, so that they can continue to participate in the program. So next slide, Liz. And then of course we have to worry about mounting. So in our loan program, we have a variety of mounting options. Again, we work with our local assistive technology professional and our team to make sure that we're assessing what is the best type of mount for the individual. So we have things that can just be clamped onto a table or a desk, just, you know, lap trays, tablet trays that can be mounted either to the wheelchair or to a floor mount that could be moved around. And again, Liz will be talking a little bit more about digital photography. So I think this one is really important because, as we've talked about many times, even if you are not an artist and doing photography for art, a lot of people just want to be able to still be able to take pictures as they're out traveling or take pictures of their family to share with people. So I just think photography is such a key thing for everybody that they can participate in. So we have played with a couple of different options. So you can kind of see up on the top right, there is a kind of a mini tripod that could be set up so that the individual can use either a switch or some type of remote to help with the photography. We also do a lot of gooseneck, as you can kind of see on the right bottom there, different gooseneck mounts that can either hold, again, tablet or phone, and that can help with the photography as well. One thing that we utilize a lot here in the Midwest, I'm not sure if other people are utilizing this, but there are a lot of different options for head mice. A common one that we use is probably mostly is the glass house. So we're just going to play a little clip to kind of show what the glass house can do for individuals. So this is a head mouse that is connected to any of your devices via Bluetooth. So it can be connected to your phone, your iPad, computer, and it just allows it can be adapted with any type of switch, really. Probably the most common that we're utilizing is the bite switch that you're seeing there. The bite switch just allows them where they can click with utilizing their mouth, or click and drag. There's just a lot of variety that they can do there. It doesn't necessarily have to be worn as glasses. They have come out with the Glass House Pro recently. So this device can really be mounted anywhere. Again, it could be a headband that you connect that to. But again, just really gives people a lot of options. And this was a device that we already had in our assistive tech program that we were utilizing for communication needs. So and again, this just kind of shows a variety of options for mounting the glass house or the QHA, different switch options, as you can see. And it just works really, really well for individuals. And it's a great kind of stepping stone before worrying about the eye gaze device. And again, we can utilize that with the iPad or any type of tablet or computer. So.
Okay, so this is just some options that you can use or change on your phones. I'll go through a few options on an Android phone and then some on an iPhone, just for photography, but also maybe for using your phone in general as well. This is an in-camera setting that you can change the shooting method. So you can actually change it to voice commands. So if speech is accessible to you, you could say things like smile, cheese, capture, shoot, whatever works for you best, to trigger the shutter button to take that picture. You can also move around the shutter button so that it's in an easier to access area. And you can show the palm. So you can hold up your hand in front of your phone in order to take a picture. Another option is for the volume key. You can make that do different things. So if it's easier for you to press that button when you're holding the camera a certain way, then you can have that do the zooming, you can have that take the picture or start the video recording, or just control the volume as it normally does. I will say I personally use the voice command in the winter. When I am taking pictures in the winter here in Minnesota, I don't want to take my gloves off. So I use that all the time. My family kind of makes fun of me for it because I'm always just walking around looking at trees going, smile, smile. But it works, it gets the job done. So in some general settings on an Android phone, you can use voice access, and then you can also control, and I'll talk more about voice access in a minute, but you can also control the touch and hold delay and the tap duration. And so these can be controlled here. If you tap on those, it'll pull up these settings. And, you know, because sometimes it's easier to do a very light touch, a very short touch, or sometimes your touch is going to be longer. And so this really allows you to customize the way that you control your phone. This is what voice access looks like. You have a menu here that you can access that gives you different controls. And one of the options is to pull up a grid. You can change the grid. You can make it larger than what's shown here, or you can make it smaller, like the one below. I like the smaller version when you're using the camera specifically, because it gives you more specific choices, since there's so many different little buttons and options, like the shutter button or the viewing button or controlling the timer or things like that. It's easier to get specific. So what you do is you just say 62, and then it would press that square, which is over the shutter button, and then that would trigger the picture to be taken. On an Apple phone, I have to say I'm not an Apple person, so there may be even more than I've been able to research and find out. But these are some of the settings that I found. You are able to use the volume up button for burst mode for taking pictures. And if you press it and hold it down, it would take rapid fire pictures. The grid is just more for composition. So this is just a grid that comes up and helps you align the images, which is really just kind of a nice guide to have with photography. And then you can do some great preserve settings, or kind of saving the settings the way you like it. So you can toggle any of these options in order to save it the way that you like it. So you have less buttons and less things that you need to adjust when you go into those modes. In general, we have some touch accommodations and assistive touch. You also have the hold duration and ignore repeat, which are similar to the ones that I showed previously with the Android device. But this one, the customized top level menu and the assistive touch, gives you this kind of shortcut menu. And, you know, again, just helping you to tap less, touch the phone less, and it also eliminates the need to swipe pages, because you can really access, you can add many different icons on this menu. And then what it shows up as is a little circle like this on your desktop. And you can just, or not desktop, but your homepage. And then you can just tap that and it would pull up whatever menu options you gave it. And you can put so many different things on here. So I put the camera, your control center, Siri, whatnot. You can really customize this to work with, the things that you use on a regular basis and just make them easier to get to. There is a built-in camera on a Tobii Dynavox. It looks like this, pretty much. It's a very basic camera. It's fine, it gets the job done. But if you are really into photography, you may want to choose one of these options where you can mirror your phone to your Tobii device. And then you can basically access the phone camera. You could have your phone on one of those mounts that we demonstrated before that Corrie was talking about. And then you could go about and control all of that through your Tobii device with your eye gaze and take pictures through your phone. Another option, if you use a digital SLR, is to download the software onto if you use one of the Tobii desktop devices, not the TD Pilot, that's basically an iPad, but on the desktop versions, you can download any software that you could on a computer, and therefore you can download the software that goes with your Canon DSLR. You could have your Canon camera attached to your power wheelchair, let's say, or on a tripod nearby, and you can connect the DSLR to your Tobii device and work the program through your eye gaze. Okay, so some of the desktop programs for visual arts are Sketch.io. Sketch.io is a platform that can be used just online. It's a website. You can download it and pay, I think it's about $5 or so to download, but you could use it online for free. And it's a really nice, just easy, simple to use program that really just gets you creating in a simple way. I'll show you some artwork that's created with it later on. But that's what this one is. Paint 3D or Microsoft Paint is something that you can download to a Tobii device. And again, very simple, easy to access the buttons using eye gaze. The 3D mode can be a little tricky with an eye gaze device. There are some things that you just really can't access easily, but you can still create 3D things. You just may not have as much control using the eye gaze device, but it is a nice program as well. And really, I like to introduce both of these because everybody has a preference. Everybody leans one way or the other. Some people go, oh, I love Paint 3D. It just works for me so well. And then other people are like, no, I'm a Sketch.io person. So both are good, solid options. Playground, or it's changed its name, although I will say it's still called Playground, but I got a warning saying they've changed their name to Chat AI, but you may find it as Playground AI still. It's a really interesting free program for creating AI artwork. You can also import photographs that you've taken and ask it to, add to the photograph or build artwork based on that photograph. So there's a lot of really interesting things that can come out of this. It's all about typing in the right prompt, but it's a lot of fun. Okay, so for music, I recommend iHarp. iHarp is actually created for eye gaze use. It's very user-friendly in that sense. It is, you can get a free version of this by just downloading and saying that you're signing up for the trial, but then just you never pay for it when it asks you to pay. And then you keep the free version. Or you can do the paid version, which I think is about $15 a month, or it can be, you know, more than that if you pay it all in bulk. But you get essentially the same functions. I think the pay version, you get some tutorials, you get some like music lessons and things like that that become built into the program where you can, and you get more instrument sounds. So that is the other benefit of paying for the iHarp. But it's a lot of fun to use and just kind of tinker with and play some music. Dragon software is a speech to text software. And so we have some folks who are using this to write, maybe whether it's emails or writing stories. And I'll show you an example of that soon, but it's a great program that works really well. So for a tablet or a phone, some kind of mobile device for visual arts, I recommend ArtRage or Procreate. They're really nice programs that, again, are kind of simple to use. But I love these because they offer layers. And so you can see the example of layers on both of them here. So this is ArtRage here at the bottom, and then Procreate at the top. Both are very similar. So again, I think it's just going to be user preference, whichever one you like best. They're both similar price range. These are not free. You would have to pay, I think, about $10 for either. Maybe a little bit higher now because, you know, everything's increasing, but it's around there. And the nice thing about layers is that it gives you a lot of control. So for instance, on here, you can see the ostrich and the grass shadows and things. They're on different layers. So if I go, okay, I want to change this, I want to move it, I can just go to that, click on that layer and then move that easily without disturbing the rest of the composition. So again, at the bottom here on ArtRage, you can see those layers broken down. ArtRage does have a desktop version as well, but I'll say it's a little more pricey. So if you can also use Photoshop or, ArtRage's desktop version on your Tobii desktop device as well, but they are not free. And then down here in the bottom corner for music, Equa is a great new app that just started last year and was created by a fellow at McPhail Center for Music who has been kind of my partner in the music classes. This is a great app to play around with music composition, to learn about different instruments. You can actually click on these. You can learn about the history of these instruments and where they came from. I will say, though, that it is just a vertical orientation at the moment. They've heard our feedback and they're working on and talking about potentially changing this for the future, and I hope that they do. But for that reason, it doesn't work very well with the TD Pilot, which is a horizontal orientation. You can use it. I do have one person who uses it with TD Pilot. When you click on these instruments, you can also, it can pull up, there's a function where it can pull up like a keyboard where you can kind of just play that instrument, and that is in horizontal mode. So I do have one person that says she enjoys that. She doesn't really create anything. She just kind of gets on and plays around with the instruments. But just a fair warning that if you're wanting to do everything, it's going to be more user-friendly with maybe a phone or a tablet that you would, if you need eye gaze or head mouse, that you would use like a QHA or a Glasshouse device with. Here's an example of the class, one of the classes for the Equa app. So you can see it again in motion here. If you were to click on this here, that would pull up that keyboard that I was talking about. I'm going to play some pieces that were created with the Equa app by a couple different artists. Okay, so I just think that's a nice variety of some of the instruments that you can play with. They do have instruments from all over the world. The last one with the la 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 la, that was actually the participant's 5-year-old grandson who was singing that song. So it's really a neat option to be able to record. So you could record yourself playing another instrument, or you could record a voice and add that to your songs. Here's one of those examples of use with the Dragon software. This, entire story or letter was written using Dragon software. And this participant does a lot of writing and really has enjoyed Dragon and raves about how precise it is and what a great job it does. Okay. Some examples of work created on Procreate. Here's one. This was on a tablet. And then over here is a piece of art created using Playground AI on a Tobii device with eye gaze. We have some examples here of using Paint 3D with a head mouse. And another artist who prefers Sketch.io and her Tobii. And these were pieces from the Digital Art for Healing class. Okay, so here's our list of some resources, including links to the program's website and other adaptive equipment. And Makers Making Change is an interesting resource where you can go on and ask a 3D designer or a 3D printer artist, I'm not sure what exactly you call them, a maker, and you can request that they create a specific device for you. There's a huge catalog to choose from. You can also request a new device to be made and work with a specific person to get that done. This book, Your Brain on Art by Susan Magsamen and Ivy Ross, I definitely recommend if you're interested in how the arts and creative experiences affect the brain and body and all the benefits of it. And then this QR code, if you want to scan that, will also take you to the Creative Pursuits website. So you can take a look at the catalog and see what's on offer now. All right. Time for questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. That was so exciting. And I have to say, just to start off, when I think of creative arts, I was ignorantly forgetting all of those other kinds of expression, like you mentioned, comedy and the book club. So that was really interesting to see. So at this time, please feel free to submit any questions. You could submit a question through the Q&A feature on the Zoom, that little, oh, not the raise hand, the QA with the question mark and the speech bubble there. And so to get us started off, would you mind reviewing those different programs that you do have available, those different areas that you offer classes in?
Yeah. So we have poetry class right now. We have nonfiction or kind of memoir focus or personal essay focus. We have fiction classes as well. Those are all with the Loft Literary Center. I'm working with a few teachers there who are fantastic. We have an Equi class, how to use the Equi app class. Another great thing that you can do on the Equi class is to collaborate. So that's something that we'll be focusing on with this class in the fall, is collaborating and getting to know others through creating music together. And then we also have some concerts, one a month, with amazing musicians who, all of whom have recorded some of the sounds for the Equi app. But these are just like a nice concert where you can just sit and enjoy the beautiful music. They may teach you about music from that culture, or whatever specific genre they're focusing on. So really those have been fantastic. Okay, what else do we have? I have another Fun with AI art class, and then a hands-free digital art class. So the Fun with AI art class will focus on playground AI, but also introduce you to a couple other options with AI art. And that I didn't talk about because they're just not as great, but they're kind of fun to play with. And then the hands-free digital art class will talk about Sketch.io and Paint 3D and how to use those. And then let's see what else. We have a writing club, the book club, a visual arts club that's open to any person who uses any medium of visual arts at all. And we have some visual arts classes. We have one that is more geared towards people who don't think they're so much of an artist. So it's kind of a good entryway, but also you can take it even if you think you're an amazing artist. You'll get something out of it. The teacher's fantastic. In the catalog, the other thing that we have, I forgot to mention, we have online art museum tours, where we get to get together and talk about art with a docent from the Walker Art Center here in the Twin Cities. And those have been really fantastic as well. And then what else? What am I missing, Corrie?
Guided immersion, which is actually my favorite. And after we're done with that, Liz, there is a question in the.
Okay, so we in the catalog, there's a guided nature immersion audio guides. And there's 3 different guides that are amazing. In-person guide here in the Twin Cities has created so that people living all over anywhere can experience nature immersion, or forest bathing is another term for it. It's basically the idea of kind of getting out in nature and focusing on nature. It's pretty meditative. It's a wonderful way to just kind of, get in touch with nature and get out of your mind and think about things differently. So he has a 2-hour full audio guide, and then he has 2 20-minute guides. one from an outdoor perspective, maybe you want to sit in your front yard or backyard or go to a nearby park, or one from an indoor perspective. So if you wanted to get anywhere where you can look out a window, you can go through the indoor perspective one. So yeah, he's done a really excellent job with those. Okay, so the question. Gosh, I would say sign up for the Visual Arts Club. You know, in the Visual Arts Club, we talk about, you know, everybody's specific interests and needs and how to, you know, adapt and find new ways of creating. So that's fun. Also sign up for the it's called I'm no artist, but this will be fun class, which sounds like a great place for you to start. Okay. And then, so I like the idea of the museum tours, but don't live in that area. Any idea of who I could reach out to start something like this in my area? Ooh, that's really interesting. So I do offer in-person museum tours now in Kansas City, St. Louis, Madison, Wisconsin, and the Twin Cities, Minnesota. So if you're near any of those areas, that is an option I would highly recommend signing up for. It's a great way to, you know, get to know others, to have that social experience, but also to be able to, you know, experience art and get that kind of one-on-one attention too from the docents. I would say you can definitely sign up for the online museum tours to get some of that experience. But if you're looking for something in person, I mean, I would say do some research. I think it depends on where you live. There's some amazing museums out there who are doing really great things. And, you know, some people even provide specific accessible tours on offer. So I would look into that, see if anything like that is available. You know, you could reach out to me and talk to me about what area you're in. I do have the goal of I'd like to offer in-person tours in as many places as possible, though it may take me some time to get there. And I mean, I would say you could talk to one of the educational leaders at the museum, or talk to, you know, whoever is in charge of the tours, which is usually the educational leader, and just ask those questions. I think there needs to be more of that. Just asking how can you set up a tour that would be accessible for me, and you know, get people thinking about that. I don't know if that was a good answer, but
I think so. That's kind of the process that you went through. Again, I think to Liz's point, that is a kind of a goal of ours, is that we would be able to offer something like that across the country. This has, again, looking back at the last year, how fast all this has gone and how amazing Liz has done with building this from the ground up. Again, we just have to look at her. She is kind of the sole staff member for this program. We try to jump in and help her as much as possible, but if that is something that's interesting, I know that we would be happy to help you guys kind of go through that. I'm not sure if this would be a participant or a staff member that wrote this question, but we're happy to kind of work with you and guide you. And like Liz said, in Wisconsin and Missouri, right, St. Louis, we have just had some staff members from the ALS Association step up and offer to be kind of the point person for those areas in person as well.
yeah, if you're a you know, ALS Association staff member and you'd like to get something going in your area, definitely reach out to me about that. I'll be happy to support you.
Well, thank you all for joining the presentation today. If you have any specific questions about creative pursuits in assistive technology or another assistive technology topic, you can join the AT specialist for AT office hours on the fourth Monday of every month at 5 p.m. As a reminder, tomorrow we will have Nicholas Mazars present on voice banking and AI at 10 a.m. with the same link. So we look forward to hopefully seeing you tomorrow. And again, please reach out. All of these webinars are being recorded. If you'd like the email address, and I apologize, I don't have it handy right now. It was on the slide at the beginning of the show, the presentation. Regan, are you able to provide that in the chat really quickly? Sorry. You'll be able to do it quicker than I can.
I'll just copy
it up.
It's MAT assistive tech at ALS.org. I will try to put it in the chat real quickly.
Thanks so much, Regan. And thank you all for joining us. Thank you so much, Liz and Corrie. That was so exciting to hear about all of that.
Thank you for having us.